Welcome back, everybody. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Aaron.
This is our show, Crypto Cosm, where I talk about how astrology affects the crypto market.
And I bring you more of that sweet worldly crypto news. News. Let's talk about that eclipse real quick.
Friday.
It
hit us all.
July 27th. We had a staggering market cap of $301 billion. Now that's total. We're talking about all of the cryptocurrencies in the pot that you see on coinmarketcap.com. So just before the 27th, floating in at $301 billion.
Billy.
Now, we've floated anywhere from 10 to 15 billion, less than that.
That we've
since the
lost.
eclipse. Yes.
We've gained a little back, but we've definitely plummeted on Friday. I mean, midday, the market went down.
Gained about 5 billion back in total market cap. Now, just in Bitcoin specifically, I mean, we're talking a dump of about $300 per coin in price. So, and when we mentioned this specific type of eclipse marked kind of the beginning of the downfall of what we saw. And what maybe we'll see in terms of the trend being our friend is it continuing to gradually decline until about August 11th, which is the next solar eclipse. So lunars kind of bring us down, solars kind of mark it and bring it back up. That's what we've seen this year.
And there's a lot of other aspects going on as well. I mean, we have the Mercury retrograde happening, and that's going to go on until the 19th in Leo. And the Sun's in Leo right now. Sun just moved into Leo. So this is kind of a double dose of fire. And Leo's like creative self-expression. And when we have it's a fire sign, a lot of energy and fire. But when we have a Mercury retrograde, how this affects the crypto world, how this affects us people, and how we spend money and trade money is generally we do things with haste before thinking things through. Now, this can be positive and negative, okay? It's true, because there is money to be made. There's money to be made when people irresponsibly spend. That's business, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. It's just how you watch, and if somebody else, well, it is what it is, you know? If somebody spends this and do this, and then you pull out and do that because you made your money, you have every right to do that. There's nothing wrong with it. So, people can really spend a lot of money and screw up, and then people can watch what they're doing and make a lot of money. But the key is you have to watch what you're doing. You have to really pay attention during this time.
Pay attention, ladies
That is
and gentlemen.
the biggest thing through the 19th that's coming up is pay attention, again, to the Monday daily routine activities, stuff we talked about last time. And so here's other stuff that's coming up, right? This coming Saturday, the 4th of August, Venus is moving out of Virgo. And it's going to, well, it's still in Virgo now, but it's going to start its square to Saturn. Okay, and that's going to happen until the 15th. And it's exact on the 9th. Okay, the 9th is the exact Venus square Saturn. This is the second time it's going to happen. And this is really key because this is going to set up what's going to happen to follow when the Sun and Mercury come across that point too. So, you know, yes, the new moon solar eclipse that's coming up on the 11th is going to be a shine of positivity because 2 days prior to that as well, our money planet's squaring our planet of like, you know, structure solidifying, again, squeezing, testing the limits of things. And it's going to be in Libra. Venus is going to be in Libra for the first time this year, which is balance. We're balancing everything out, of other people as well.
Balance is good.
Balance is very good. It's very necessary. So this kind of tug of war that's going on is going to kind of even itself out here. And then come September is going to be the last time that we have a square, or of the year anyway. Sun and Mercury are going to square Saturn. And then we're done with that. And then we're kind of in this very green territory of great possibilities and things to come. I mean, there's always, you know, rough terrain on any road, but you know what I mean? There's no more squares to the malefic Saturn. So, yeah.
You know, I mean, we're really coming into it. We're making lower highs and higher lows, and these waves that we've getting that have been up and down aren't going quite as high and quite as low and getting smaller as we get into this point of consolidation, where hopefully we come into this flatlining point where we see a lot of indecision in the price. People not really wanting to buy, people not really wanting to sell. They're kind of content right where everything is, and we just get this even keel of a Bitcoin price, and that's that's according to plan. That's what we're seeing.
Right, and another cool thing here too is like if we look back at February 15th when we had the first lunar eclipse of the year, but it was opposite, right? So the sun was on the south node in Aquarius, the moon was in Leo. So now this was the opposite of that, where the moon was in the south by the south node in Aquarius. You know what I mean? So we're more, the fire is still more in that Leo side of things. So, but the point is this, is we had seen a devastating drop in February. Here we had seen, you know, a $10 billion, $15 billion drop is still big. It's not like that's, you know, a stone in the pond, but it's not as drastic. So when we're talking about the eclipses and seeing in the bottom and the rise up, since we're in the middle of 3, we have to think, is it a possibility that the first solar eclipse that just happened, was that our bottom? Or are we headed to our bottom right now? But either way, we're still looking at what this could potentially be the lowest times over these you know, past 6 weeks, or during this 6 weeks of the lowest time of the year, which is a really, really good thing.
And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that lowest point, like he said, just could be revisiting our previous lows. So it's going to be interesting. We have a very, very strong support and stability right around 6,400. And every time we've dipped down to, you know, 5.7, 5.8, I mean, we've bounced back up almost instantly before the closing of business day, right back into that major support area where we've held very strong. So according to that trend, I feel confident, and I would like to say that, you know, we're going to stick around there, I think. I have good feelings about this one. So, you know, always make sure you're investing not more than you're willing to lose. We are not financial investors in this area. Everything we do say is our own opinion.
We are financial investors.
Financial advisors. But, I mean, the trend is your friend, of course, until it's not. But we have a long history of this trend and this history of support. And so far, it's held up very, very well. We'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going to happen. So, and then come the 11th, I'm looking forward to really seeing that green mountaintop, hopefully, coming into another bull run, possibly. So we've talked about that,
I mean, we still have that square to Saturn to the 15th, and the retrograde doesn't end until the 19th. Now, that's another interesting thing, that retrograde doesn't end until the 19th, so when we see what's going to happen on those few days between the 11th and the 15th, you know, the eclipse and then the square, but again, the square starts on the 4th, so we're going to be feeling that early. It's exact on the 9th, then the 11th is the eclipse, then and the 15th is we're done with that square to Saturn. So like, there's still a lot going on before it's you know, cut the ribbon and the races and they're off. But
it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be keeping my eye out for that thick line of consolidation where we have that indecision, where that price really flattens out. It's not jumping high, it's not jumping low. And keep the play-by-play day by day at that point to see what exactly is going on. Because if we do have Saturn coming around at that point, and we do have any bit of drop or anything like that, I think it might be looking like it could get swallowed up very, very quickly in terms of the end of the retrograde.
And then again, right after that, just to jump into what's going on here, August and then, you know, beginning of September, well, we're going to have the sun moving into Virgo. We're going to have Mercury then coming into Virgo. These are going to form that grand Earth trine with breakthrough Uranus and money and structuring Saturn and government Capricorn. So we're going to see a lot of positivity coming, you know, at that switch from Leo to Libra, or Libra, Leo to Virgo. Okay, the Earth sign. When it hits Libra, that's when we're going to see the square to Saturn. But so August, September, end of August to like mid-September looks awesome, you know. And then September, mid to end September, we're going to see those squares again from Saturn. Then October, we're going to be in a really different place come October.
Well, there's some different things happening. I mean, just in terms of Bitcoin ETF, I wanted to recap on this subject. We talked about it a lot last week. So there have been new updates in the field. Now, one of the applications for Bitcoin ETF was put in by the Winklevoss twins. If you're unfamiliar with the Winklevoss twins, those are the two guys that came up with the Gemini exchange. Gemini exchange is definitely one up there with the likes of Binance. They're a very large exchange. They do accept fiat currencies to transform into cryptos. So, and they started it up because they had made a bunch of money. So, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. So they had the first application was looked at for the Winklevoss twins. Now, I did get the privilege of seeing one of Tika Tawari's videos out there from Palm Beach, kind of outlining, describing what happened in that particular instance of the Winklevoss twins' Bitcoin ETF. Now, what they were doing was they were trying to tie that price for the actual ETF to their exchange.
Okay.
So being that it was fluctuating by the price of exchange, it could have the possibility of being manipulated. So that was the big reason that this application was put to rest. But there are 5 other applications by more major players like the Chicago Board Options Exchange, the NASDAQ, things like that, to where this price for the Bitcoin ETF will be tagged to what's known as the over-the-counter price. And this is where you have individuals calling up desks saying, I want 5 million in Bitcoin. Things aren't really done on the actual exchange, which in my mind still leaves it open for whale manipulation. But if that's what they want to associate with, they said there's less fluctuation in the over-the-counter price than there is in the actual exchange price. Not only that, when the CBOE issues an ETF, we're going to be looking at insured ETFs. So if something happens, something goes wrong, something screwed up, you have a fallback. You have a fallback. That insurance is there to protect you, to protect your interest, etc. With the Winklevoss twins, there would have been no insurance whatsoever. So those are the things that are being considered for when actually approving one of these ETFs. And hopefully, since they have 5 more in their back pocket, the SEC can make a decision maybe in the next 30, maybe the next 45 days. We'll see. We'll definitely stay posted on the ETF, because that's going to be one of those big pieces that's going to break through a dam, open up another platform to where new money can enter the market, and a really big step of growth, in my opinion. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But it was also comforting to know why and how the previous application was put to rest. So we learn more as we go along every day, ladies and gentlemen. So another one, Ethereum. Ethereum. So Ethereum's last hard fork was, I believe, I want to say last September, November. And it was Byzantium. Byzantium. Now they have a new hard fork coming out. So they've been working their butt off to really make a more stable platform, faster transactions, faster mining, because of the amount of applications they're now having on their platforms. So Byzantium was part 1 of a 2-part update, and coming up in October, before I believe the DevCon Ethereum conference, they're going to be releasing this new update, and it's going to allow for become more efficient, faster, and there's a few security upgrades in there as well. Now, this is not going to be a hard fork like you think of, where it's Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Ethereum 3.0, etc., etc. The hard fork is going to cut over just like last time, and it's still going to be Ethereum. So they're going to be switching blockchains and moving everything over, but it's probably going to be seamless. You might want to keep your coins in a specific wallet at that time, or an Ethereum wallet, so that change can probably happen automatically. Most of you won't even know. But it's definitely something to keep your mind on. I'm sure most of the exchanges will support that swap over if there's anything swapping over from coin to coin. But so make sure you keep your eyes on that, because they're going to be testing for the next 2 months with this upgrade to come out in the beginning of October.
Now, do you know, is there any incentive in this fork like we've seen in the past with, coin holders getting a little bump? Any talk of that?
So that really happens. That's a good question. That really happens when there's a hard fork and they keep the previous fork. So in this specific instance, we have all the developers going, yes, we all agree with this, but we need an actual fork to happen to be able to make those updates acceptable. So everybody's on board. We're not going to have another Ethereum coin or like when I think Bitcoin is up to us 40 some hard forks: Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin God, Bitcoin Dark, Bitcoin Platinum, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Private, Bitcoin Red, Bitcoin X. Those are all. That's all I know off the top of my head. But we're not going to see that with this particular fork. And in those instances, if you're holding Bitcoin, then I have 10 Bitcoin. Well, you're going to get 10 Bitcoin Gold or 10 Bitcoin God when that forks off for keeping that and supporting it. And that's how the majority of those hard forks work when you're keeping the previous chain. But in this instance, they're going to be switching completely over, and I'm sure probably the majority of it being Ethereum is going to be pretty seamless. And being able to swap all those coins over to the new network. But just something to be aware of. Make sure when that time rolls around, double check, make sure it's in an Ethereum wallet or on an actual exchange. Make sure you don't need to do anything else. As we get more details, we'll be releasing those here in the future as well.
Sounds good. What else is going on?
Man, let's talk about something else that I found out personally today. Now, it is the 30th of July. And my apologies for being late, but I almost didn't catch this one as well. That means we have until July 31st, which is probably when most of you will be seeing this, one day to make sure your OCN coins are in an OC Pay wallet so that you can get the airdrop for OCN tokens. Now they have a special coin that interacts for gas and incentives. It's not the actual OCN coin, but you will be receiving the airdrop. So you want to make sure your coins are in that wallet by August 31st.
August 30th.
August 1st. Man, it's Monday. I'll tell you what, August 1st. So if you have OCN and you are holding that coin, download the app. Make sure your coins are in there so you can prepare yourself and get the drop for OCN coin. I wish I would have followed up on this one. I've been lagging on my Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, and I am sorry. But
tweet.
Hopefully this is enough time for the individuals that watch us to make sure you get those coins in that wallet. It's going to be the last day. So another article that I read that I really wanted to talk about that was really interesting is Brics. B-R-I-C-S. So the Brics community consists of Brazil, China, India, South Africa, and Russia. In the order of BRICS. I know I didn't get that in the right order, but those 5 countries basically came together and they started creating what was known as the Brics system. Now, I don't know how much we've actually talked about the Brics system on this show per se. But what it is it is going to be a major contender against the SWIFT system. The SWIFT is the social, worldwide, international, financial, telecoms system.
You got that? We're going to be taking a quiz at the end of this.
Man, oh man, I tell you what, these acronyms are just getting insane. But the SWIFT system is in charge of maintaining the ledger of all international trade. So Russia gives 3 million over here, US gives 10 million over here. So this is one giant ledger tracking all of the funds in a secure manner for all international trade. Now, 80% of the trade on the SWIFT system is with the US dollar. We could talk about that all day, but what the Brics system, they set this up starting in 2014 or 2015, is another option to be able for all these other countries to really bypass the US dollar.
Why would you ever want to do that?
Why? We could talk about that for another week as well. So the US dollar's demand, and what really gives it a lot of value, is the countries that use it for trade, in specific oil, the US petrodollar. So there's a lot of countries that are kind of, we're seeing this. Venezuela said, no, we're not using the US dollar to pay for oil anymore. There's 10% of our US dollar, 10% of demand holding this up. When we see the Bitcoin demand go down, the price goes down. Well, the same thing happens with the US dollar. Well, 40% of the world's population has created an actual system to be able to circumvent the US dollar. That's a big thing. And there's a lot of talk about what's actually going to happen when that US dollar drops in demand and loses its value. But this system is now also looking into blockchain technology to incorporate for the system itself, which is really, really interesting. Now, also, I've done some additional research on Ripple. Now, Ripple has XRapid, which is their Ripple coin to Ripple coin transaction-like system. And then they have Xcurrent, which is a lot different than XRapid. Now, Xcurrent is for what you would call maybe let's just say the big guys in the pool, the whales in the pool. And it's all about having these pools of money in different parts of the world where you can borrow from one instantly until the payment from the other side of the world gets to that person. Now, the person that gives up their cash instantly gets XRP as a reward. So we're not using XRP for the bulk of the actual money. So this is one big misconception about individuals and how they see Ripple being used in the future internationally. So this technology also has the capability to be able to replace something like the SWIFT system and what that is going to look like. So there's a lot of things in our economy, our global economy, that really is starting to branch out into many different options that we didn't have before. And it's going to be interesting to see that effect, especially on the US dollar and the effect of the US dollar on other countries' economies. That was a mouthful. So speaking of that, there was another article we read that was based on individuals are always looking for a reason why the price is striking up so quickly or falling down so quickly. Yeah. So the last run that we had that went from, 70s, 800 or so, all the way to the rise to 8,400 that we just saw, there was a point at which the Chinese yen was set to be devalued.
This is great.
Devalued, which means the price of the Chinese yen was going down.
So what did they do?
Going up.
So what did they do?
Well, there was an extraordinary amount of Bitcoin purchased with Chinese yen.
I love this.
That's days before the devaluation happened.
So we had a chuckle about this before we started rolling. It's like this, to the people outside of our pool, right? It's such an unstable, well, it's such a volatile market.
Volatile, yes.
That's the best word for it. It's up and down. It's the waves of the ocean, man. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But when the money started to devalue in their own country, the fail-safe, the go-to was crypto.
Bitcoin, baby.
Bitcoin specifically.
Bitcoin specifically.
That's huge. That is huge. And I don't even want to start get on my 2020 kick, but seriously, when our banks start to go down, and people, what do? Do you put money what might not be of holding value in a shoebox and hope that one day who knows what could happen, but let's just look at that's awesome, man.
Even if you're putting that money in a shoebox today, with inflation being 2% per year, which is actually without the rise in price of everything else around us, so it's probably more than 4 to 5% per year. It's difficult to even quantify money as a store of value or a legal tender as a store of value because you're losing 4 to 5% per year, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you stocks and bonds, half the stuff you put in there, you can't touch it for however long, and you're literally just letting them loan the money out and do what they do with those securities. So what are we seeing happening? We're seeing in countries in Venezuela, when the governmental currency has completely bottomed out, individuals turn to Bitcoin.
Crypto, the savior of the world.
Oh.
It's kind of awesome. This is a revolution. And now there's certainly, again, we talk about this all the time. There's a lot of folks that we get it, hardworking individuals trying, invested in something to hit the gold rush in order to try to create a better life in the future, to not be, oppressed working for the man or, just caught in the system, just a gear, it's like you want something more with life, not to just be lazy on beaches sipping, whatever rum runner out of a coconut with the little frilly straw, which actually they just banned in San Francisco. Did you see that? No more straws and no more no more plastic swords.
What
Bam!
shall we do?
So, but we're moving. It's a new era. We're moving to a whole new place, and this is exciting. So whatever the purpose of your being in Bitcoin is or being in crypto is, this is going to save humanity at whole. So tell everybody to buy Bitcoin. But another cool thing too is like that. That's another interesting aspect here. Let's take a note of this. They didn't buy Litecoin at $81 or $87, whatever it was when they bought it. They didn't buy Ethereum. There's a lot of folks as well like, oh, I'm gonna buy the cheap right now. I'm gonna buy the Tron. I'm gonna buy the PO or the Fun token because it's cheap right now, in hopes that one day it'll be, this 3-cent thing will be $3 or maybe $30. If I put $1,000 into this 3-cent thing and it turns out $30, I just bought a new house or something. You know what I mean? Like there's all these kind of possibilities, but we still have to look at, that's for people who are hoping that same trend that happened to Bitcoin will happen to it. This is where we have to look back at the gold rush and then say, history does repeat itself. This is very different in its own unique way, but odds of something, I don't want to say that, odds of something else getting the point of the price of Bitcoin, we're still so young in this, but people are still buying the big dog. That's the point of this. Like they're not like, oh, I'm going to take all of our currency and buy Fun token because it's only 5 cents right now and there's a potential for it to be worth 10. They're going with the tried and true. They're going with Bitcoin.
Bitcoin has been the first to market. It has proven itself over and over and over again.
It's a household name.
It is the Armani or the Versace or the Polo or whatever brand. It is the face of cryptocurrency. And that's really one of the biggest draws. You can make these types of payments and still be able to get along. But Bitcoin is it's first to market. It's going to be hard to beat. It's solid. It's rock solid.
It is.
So, but we're definitely going to keep an eye on that and more news ahead. Let's have
card of the day.
I think it's your turn.
Is it?
I think it's your
turn.
turn.
All right, I'm taking this one. Closest one to me. Maybe this one you got last time. It was too long. Embrace the ways that you are different and the things you are criticized for, because that is what makes you unique, and that is your gift to the world. Sven Cam. That is a mouthful, but it's very true. Shine, baby, shine.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell button down at the bottom so you guys don't miss a beat. Here on
Crypto Cosm.